Brothers, welcome back. August 2023, right? I had just gotten dropped off at University of Iowa. My aspirations were high. I was gonna go party, pick up chicks, join a frat, have a great time, leave all the past behind me. Life was gonna be great, right? Only problem is I was an anxious, unattractive dweeb, right? I had only known instant gratification my whole life. I had not built myself to any level, and so my expectations immediately got crushed after realizing that all the higher quality men were getting all of the women and I was left with the scraps. This led me down a brutal feedback loop, which was drink more so I could have lower inhibition, my anxiety would be lower, so I could try to pick up more chicks, have less success, drink more, get more anxiety, right? Now, 2025, right, I was a broke, undisciplined, unconfident loser, right? Now, fast forward 2026, January 15th, or January 17th today. And I'm still broke, but I'm jacked, confident, I love my life, started multiple businesses, learned martial arts, and I know for a fact I'm gonna be a millionaire in no time. However, this isn't about business, and nor should you be taking business advice from a guy who is broke. But today, we're going to be talking about how I specifically reinvented myself from 2023 to 2026, right? So many ways, so much growth. I look at myself like 3 years ago and it's not even the same person. Now, throughout these 3 years, I've tried dozens and dozens of self-development methods, right? Some more effective than others, but these are the main things that got me to the person I am today. And I'm actually a coach of the same process and method I went through to get to where I am today. And I see what these things can actually do to transform a person's confidence, their aura, their energy. Number one, bear with me here, is gonna be semen retention. This is the first thing that got me to actually change my life, right? Once I discovered, right, that lust and pornography and masturbation was draining my energy and draining my confidence, right, I tested it out. I was like, okay, let's see. Let me see what this is about, right? I went 7 days without it, right? And I felt like a brand new person. Now, that being said, I still had these urges, right? And so I would relapse, strive to get 7 days, strive to get a month, but I felt unable to. And it wasn't until I gave up lust, or realized that lust in general was the overall problem, till I really started to get control of this, right? Lust being the fantasy and mentally thinking and fantasizing and lusting about women in your head, right? Now, this is such a sneaky drain of energy. And so the goal here isn't just no fap, not masturbation. It is specifically semen retention, which is having full control over your sexual desires. Now, I remember when I went like 7 days pure, no lusting, I was making sure all the, fantasizing was out of my mind. I went to the gym, right, had back day, and had the most crazy pump workout of my entire life. Like, my energy was just through the roof. I felt primal, and then I get on the bus, and there's these two beautiful women who were like looking at me, making eye contact, very clearly giving me choosing signals, which was not often for me back then, and I was just like, holy shit, like, I feel amazing. And to this day, if I am in less than a 7-day streak, right, I feel dramatically less aura, dramatically less energy, dramatically less confident, and it shows in every area of my life, right? If you can learn how to have a pure mind, how to have control over your sexual desire, right, you will have the rocket fuel to accomplish anything you want in your life. Specifically for me, it made me addicted to growth, right? Instead of wanting to game, instead of wanting to masturbate, I would read books, I would learn, right? I would try new things, I would start businesses, I would learn martial arts, do competitions, right? But you don't have this energy to go out and do things if you don't have your life force within you. And if you think it's bullshit, if you think it's woo-woo, try it, brother. If you have tried it, right, if you say, okay, yeah, I know it's a problem, but I'm struggling with it, right, your biggest problem is probably the fact that you're not doing anything with the energy, right? The energy, the reason we ejaculate and masturbate and we get horny is because that energy gets strong within us, goes to our mind, turns into fantasy, and we feel like we need a release. If we don't learn how to control this energy, right, we are not going to be able to do semen retention, and if we do, we're going to feel all anxious because the energy is pent up instead of flowing, right? And so you need to stay busy, you need to fill your life with purposeful things, and make sure your mind is clear. Do not lust, right? Delete Instagram, delete TikTok, or just not interested on the half-naked chicks, and I'm telling you, this is an absolutely huge one, right? The reason I started with this is because this is rocket fuel for everything else I do. Number two, taking action. In 2023, right, after realizing I had a brutal problem and I was brutally anxious and I hated my life, I realized the environment was not good for me. So I moved home, right, with the intention of going all in on self-development, working so I was making money instead of losing it, and I was just obsessed with improving my life. Now, I knew martial arts was going to be a great medium through which I could do this. My brother recommended it to me, he had had great growth from it, so I was like, I know I need to do martial arts. However, one of the scariest things is starting the martial art. This is why very few men end up doing martial arts, is because they can't even, They can't even try it. They can't even start. They can't even go to the first class. And so I felt all this anxiety. I found a gym that was like, okay, I was like, okay, I'm gonna try this one. I was like, oh, I got the energy to call him up, right? And keep in mind, I was still anxious, like had no initiative at this point. Call him up, coach. He's like, hello, how can I help you? I tell him I'm new in the area. I'm interested in starting martial arts. He gives me the class days. Say, yeah, pull up. You can try for 2 weeks for free. The next day, pull up to class. Life has changed, right? From one thing, which is taking action. Now, after this day, right, I got reinforced the principle of just doing it, right? Just taking the step instead of thinking about it will do everything, right? This has allowed me to start multiple businesses. I actually wasn't always broke, fellas. I made the decision to start an estate clean out business, which is basically when people die or when they move, I would clean out all their stuff. Instead of using a junk hauler, instead of using a estate sale, which are both unoptimal methods, I would do both, right? I'd take the junk to the junk haul and I would sell the nice stuff and pay them for it, right? And I ran this business for about a year and made about 40K. And I wouldn't have been able to do that unless I made the commitment to start. And the commitment was no joke either. Spent $2,000 on a warehouse with a 6-month lease, so a $12,000 investment. In addition, I was spending money on employees, on U-Hauls, right? There was a lot of risk, but because I was able to take that action, so it was one of the hardest but greatest experiences of my life, right? Now I realize, hey, I need something else in my life. I am not fully fulfilled by this business, right? I feel like I can do something better with my skills. Let me learn how to do sales, right? Door-to-door sales, which I knew would lead me to personal training, which I knew would lead me into this, which is online coaching, teaching people the same method, how I changed my life. Now, every single step of the way, right, this has been what has carried me. I have felt resistance every time I do a new thing. In fact, that is natural for a human being to feel resistance when they do a new thing. But that signal is, I want to do this, but I'm afraid, is the greatest signal for the world of, here's your next level, here's your next level, here's your next level. And now I look for it, brother. I look for any area where I can take massive amounts of actions, right? And in addition to this, I should have put a dash, committing to something that also forces you to take massive amount of action. So the best way to train this, brother, is really just do it, right? It's to look for different areas where you can take action. This is why the percentage of people who are successful is so small. And successful, I mean financial freedom, I mean confidence, I mean have a good physique, have a good woman, right? It's very slim is because people like to fantasize about the idea, like to think about it, but when it comes to actually doing it, they imagine all the risk of failure, all the different outcomes, everything it's going to take, instead of just taking the action, and then everything falls in place. Number 3, reading. And this is a funny one for me. Throughout my entirety of middle school, high school, and pretty much college until I dropped out, I read 0 books from front to back. I had not read a single nonfiction book in my entire life, right? 0. Every single time we got an assigned one, I would read the summaries, or if we had an option to pick one at the library, I would read a graphic novel. I didn't read a single book. My attention span was so fucked. I mean, when I was a kid, I was also just like spazzy. I definitely had ADHD, but I just not interested in anything. These things, never read, hated it, right? I picked up my first book, which was Rational Male, and then a dopamine book, and then Meditations, right? I started reading them, and they were all topics I was actually interested in and actually applied to my life, and I became an avid reader, brothers. I could not put books down. And then my first 2 years of self-development, I'm looking at my books here, that's why I'm looking over there, I probably read about at least 2-3 books a month, right? I would just read, absorb knowledge, I became an avid reader. Now, the one thing I will say about this is you have to apply taking action, number 2, with number 3, reading. If you are just absorbing knowledge, right, and just getting the dopamine from consuming more books, because it does feel good when you get an aha moment, when you feel like you're being productive. But you're not being productive if, number 1, you're not taking notes, right, writing down what you learned so you remember it, and 2, applying that to life, right? So what I would have done if I would have gone back when I read all these books, I would underline, but I didn't really take notes, and I would not really apply the stuff. I would go right from one to the next, right, or I would switch back and forth between them. And so the method I do now is I pick one book, write notes about it. I actually post every single chapter I read. I go on my Instagram, post stories about what I learned in that chapter. So that keeps me accountable. That makes it so I actually obtain the information. There's some stat, which is like CEOs on average read about 50 books a year. 50 books a year, where the average individual, the average person, reads 4 books a year. If you want to be majorly successful, don't be a dweeb, read books, right? I don't know how they read 50, like I don't know if they absorb all that knowledge, if they're fiction books, but long story short is CEOs, wealthy individuals read books, okay? Also, learning, Reddit, YouTube, also great sources, but I would highly recommend not scrolling. If you're going to use those resources, have an idea of what you're researching before instead of just, I'm gonna go on YouTube and pick a video that hits my dopamine. Make sense? Number 4 is gonna be planning. Holy shit! Is this an important one? From day number 1, right, when I moved home from college, I have planned pretty much every single day, right, at least every single weekday. Planning your day is the lowest hanging fruit on return on investment out of anything, right? You could take 5 to 10 minutes to write down just what you're gonna do tomorrow, what you need to get done, what you're gonna do in the morning, and your to-do lists, right? If you take that 5 minutes, your productivity the next day, your sleep, right, your energy when you wake up is all gonna be so much better. You wake up with a mission, right? You say, I know what I need to do, and you just get after it. Versus if you wake up without a plan, brother, right? Your brain is going to go to the first thing it wants. It doesn't know what it has to do, so it's going to say, what do I want to do right now? Scroll social media, right? Beat my dick, right? Drift, brother. And this all can be avoided by planning. When I first started, I didn't even use Google Calendar. By the way, that's what I use now. But I would literally go on my notes and write the timestamps of when I would do what. And every single day, I would do it again and put it as my screensaver. I did that for like 8 months. And then I moved to a paper journal, and then I moved to Google Calendar. Now I do the calendar, right? I plan my day on my computer, and then I journal about how my day went, what I could do better. And that also reinforce what I'm gonna do tomorrow, right? I say I'm gonna wake up and do X, 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 X. Right? If you do not plan your day, bro, please listen to me. Try it. Use paper, use your notes, or use Google Calendar. What am I going to do tomorrow? Like a 3 to 4 step morning routine, or 2 to 4, or just if you get right to work, that's fine. But what do I need to get done? Right? Plan it out. Trust me. Next one. Meditation. Now, this might not be on the top 5 list for everyone's how they reinvented themselves, but it damn sure is for mine, and it damn sure is for a lot of people I know. Now, there are many types of different meditations, right? You have Qigong, you have mindfulness, you have meta meditation, you have, what's a word? Visualization, right? The one that helped me the most was going to be mindful meditation in the beginning, right? What mindfulness meditation did is it allowed me to see my thoughts. It basically allowed me to clear up my brain of all the negative bullshit self-beliefs I thought about myself. In addition, it really increased my attention span, right? So what I did is I downloaded the Waking Up app, right? You could look it up, get a free 30-day free trial. If you have no money, they also offer scholarships, which is really awesome. You could just say you don't have money, put your email in, and they'll give it to you for free, right? What this is just guided meditations with each one. The introductory course, that's the one I would recommend, guiding you along to like look within a little bit, right? And I'm telling you guys, like right when I got back from school, I had such a spiritual period of my life, and I say spiritual period is because I was just looking within. I wasn't focused on external things. I wasn't focused on really much else besides like finding myself, right? Like I never really looked within. And within like 4 months, I had this deep sense of internal peace, internal confidence, right? That was probably the happiest I was. I was the happiest when I was doing this on like 20 minutes a day, right? And it wasn't just that. I was also listening to spiritual podcasts. I was just all throughout my day funneling the lens through like mindfulness, through spirituality. Now I'm funneling it a lot more through coaching, clients, business, content, right? And so with that, I got to be a lot more go, right? Take what I learn and push it forward instead of looking within more, right? There is still some looking within to do, but if you guys have any like past traumas, whether that's from breakups, from parents dying, from childhood things, or you just feel like your mind is not on your side, I highly recommend just 10 minutes a day of meditation. And then Qigong is the next level, which is energy control, which combines semen retention with meditation. So yeah, that's gonna be a quick one. That's number 5. Number 6, embracing discomfort. This one is how do I even start with this one? Oh my God. So basically, embracing discomfort is basically choosing long-term gratification over short-term gratification, right? And short-term gratification is almost always what causes us depression, lack of fulfillment, unachievement, right? Being unhealthy, unconfidence, always stems from choosing instant gratification instead of long-term gratification. Right now, the opposite is true for long-term gratification. Every single time you choose long-term gratification, it is going to be fulfilling. Now, why it's called long-term gratification is because it does not feel good when you're doing it, right? Well, it can feel good, but it does not feel pleasurable. It takes effort, and then you receive the pleasure. Then you receive the fulfillment. right? And this is literally a muscle that you have to train, right? Once I started my self-development journey, I realized I just have to do things I don't want to do. I realized that pretty quickly, right? And I have to give up everything that gives me instant gratification, right? Now you could say you don't have to give up everything, but why wouldn't you? Right? That's the whole thing of like balance. It's like, oh, you know, there's a little bit of enjoying life, right? Like having a dessert here and there. Okay, when you have dessert and it feels good for 30 seconds and you feel like shit the next day, that isn't enjoying life to me, right? It really isn't, right? That's sacrificing the now for the future. And so as far as balance goes, if you can find gratification and fulfillment and happiness in the discomfort, one, you will have a constant, renewable, non-tolerance source of gratification. And two, you will build a life that is worth living. You will build a fulfilling life, right? Some ways you could do this. All of these things is embracing discomfort. Martial arts, go to the gym. The reason I didn't put the gym on here actually would 100% be on here is because this is how I reinvented myself after being a dweeb. I was in okay shape. Like I was going to the gym already and I was still a dweeb because I didn't do these things. Okay? But if you don't go to the gym, that's foundational, right? You can't expect anything out of life if you don't take care of your health. If you don't take care of your health, you're not going to have energy, you're not going to have confidence, people aren't going to respect you. And so that's the foundation to everything. All right, fellas? Now, if you're watching self-development content, you're probably already on the path, right? You're probably already searching. And I say kudos to you, right? But also, if you're watching self-development content, you have a goal, right? You are striving for more. Right? I am, everyone in my environment is, right? The only people who aren't striving are the people who just give into instant gratification, right? But that's not you. So, what I would say, brother, is just keep going, right? Just keep going. Apply this to time. Apply all these things to time and you'll make it, right? I've had a period of my life recently where things just haven't felt aligned, right? I haven't felt flowy. I feel like I've been fighting an uphill battle. Right, and I've had multiple of these times in my self-development journey, but every time I get out of it, as long as I stick to these principles, I end up making it. And now, even though I'm in this time of my life right now, I'm able to see that, right? I'm able to understand, have the mindfulness to know that I'm going to be all right. And so as long as you are trying, brother, right, as long as you are trying and taking action, right, you are going to make it. You just cannot quit, right? You cannot quit. I highly recommend getting a coach, getting a brother, joining a community, have some form of accountability in your life, right? I have two coaches. I have my martial arts gym, right? I have my online brothers. I have my clients, my brotherhood there. That all allows me in times like these to just keep pushing forward. And if you want to work one-on-one with me and have me as a brother alongside your journey, I'll put a link in the description and the bio to book a call. But other than that, boys, I love you, right? Just going to keep moving forward, keep moving forward. Seek pain, have sexual purity, take constant, relentless, massive action, read on a daily basis, plan your day, meditate, and embrace discomfort. And you're going to be all right, brother, right? Apply time to this, right? Like an exponent, this squared, and bro, sky's the limit. All right, boys? Peace. That's the video for the day.